Hey, what's happening guys? Mike from Metacomics coming at you with a review for Groot #1. There are some spoilers ahead, so if you haven't read the issue, you might want to pause the review, go do that, and then come back and check out my thoughts on the story. Alright, so the basic plot of this issue focuses on Groot and Rocket Raccoon having a very National Lampoon's Vacation-style space road trip to Earth for some reason that Groot doesn't really disclose until later in the issue. The not-so-dynamic duo experiences a plethora of different trials and tribulations on their journey, including broken-down space vans, skulls trying to destroy the Earth, space sharks, weird alien rebels, a man sending his only son to Earth before their planet explodes, which sounds remarkably like a certain son of Krypton we all know, and a wicked bounty hunter determined to collect a bounty on Groot. So let's talk about what I liked about the issue. I loved the dichotomy between Rocket and Groot in this story. Rocket is a super cranky, loud, obnoxious, arrogant blowhard who just never stops complaining, while Groot has this childlike curiosity about him, this sense of awe and wonder about the creation that exists around him. Jeff Loveness, who wrote the issue, really nails the heart of this character in his dialogue, especially with Rocket. I could have sworn I heard Bradley Cooper's voice in my head while reading this comic, especially the bleeding heart pacifist line when the not-so-dynamic duo is battling these ridiculous-looking space sharks. They definitely nailed Rocket's snark, that's for sure. I really enjoyed the humor too, as the story definitely felt like something tied to the Guardians of the Galaxy series, and that's pretty much known for its humor and is one of the most endearing qualities of that series in my opinion. There was just enough action in this issue to keep things interesting, but much of the focus of the issue was on the friendship between Groot, who's a bit more tender and soft-spoken, and Rocket, who was brash, rude, and in your face. I also thoroughly enjoyed the riff on Superman and thought that was highly creative and a lot of fun to read. The diner scene was one of my favorites of the issue, as it gave a decent amount of character development concerning why Rocket hates Earth, and really showed the deep connection that Groot and Rocket have with one another. The art was for the most part enjoyable, although I wasn't a really big fan of how Rocket Raccoon looked in this issue. Much of the artwork here parallels that of Scotty Young, who does the Rocket series, and is the art style I actually prefer. Let's talk about what I didn't like. One of the lines that Rocket uses in the comic is, "You take the fun out of everything," which sounds remarkably like the line he used in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And I thought that, that was just a little cheesy. While I love the film, the comics are different, and I don't want to see actual dialogue ripped from the movies and put onto the pages of the comic. It just seemed like a little bit of lazy writing, just a little cheesy, trying to connect the two, but I understand that, why they did it, because they're trying to bring in people who may be fans of the movie but may not be reading the comic, so still, I didn't really care for that much. While the series is called Groot, this is clearly another Rocket Raccoon series, as he oftentimes overshadows his bark-covered companion and carries most of the weight of the series in his dialogue. Granted, it's hard to pull off a series about Groot when he only says 3 words and constantly needs to have an interpreter, but I still expected to have a little bit more development with Groot in this since it's his series. There wasn't a whole lot of conflict in this issue, besides the bickering between Groot and Rocket, so not much really happened in the way of story development. Overall, the issue is very entertaining, and if you're in the mood for something a bit more fun and lighthearted, it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you love the Guardians of the Galaxy run by Brian Michael Bendis. I give this overall a score of 7.5 out of 10.